Hey everybody, welcome to Tokyo Station. This is the Marunouchi side of where the Shinkansen, the bullet trains, would take you to this destination, one of two that made the New York Times 52 Destinations of 2025 list. It's kind of cool. For the last few years, this has been coming out and been on Japan's radar because Japan has two of those 52 places around the world to go and visit, which is always a big deal. Yesterday, I was on the Japanese news to talk about this. You can see there I am in the window as the only in Japan producer talking about Toyama. And today I wanted to talk to you about this. This is part of the job and the stuff that I do here in Japan. I talk about this also to the Japanese audience, which is kind of fun. Yesterday, it's a live news TV program in another language, so I'm always kind of nervous going into there. However, not so much here. I'm in front of the Tokyo Station, so if you are in the area, do come and say hi. Now, Toyama is kind of a famous place in Japan. We all know it. So when we saw this come on the list here, like we always say, why Toyama? Like we could say Kyoto, we can understand maybe Tokyo and Kamakura and places that are nearby because we know them so well as being such amazing tourist attractions. But why Toyama? Two years ago, it was Morioka, the capital of Iwate Prefecture up in Tohoku, made the list as number 2. It's not a ranking. This is just 52 places. It's not like number 1 is kind of luck of the draw, I guess. It gets a lot of credit, but New York Times does not do it as a ranking, although it might seem that way when you have a list with numbers on it. Morioka was number 2 in that list, so it got a lot of buzz here in Japan. Morioka being on this list, and I don't read the New York Times, but it created so much buzz and so much attention on media, like all the other media, and as well as magazines and other YouTubers, that tourism to Morioka last year increased 30%, and we think perhaps because of this list. There wasn't a lot of tourism in Morioka. It was a relatively unknown place, but it had these really unique attractions, and it garnered a pretty significant increase. So this list is pretty significant, at least it is right now. So when I looked at the list yesterday, or actually I think this is 2 days ago. I think I have a digital version of it. It makes me kind of curious flipping through this list. It's worth taking a look at it. It's kind of fun just to flip through it. You got New Orleans, Indonesia, Delphi, and there's like Toyama. Like, what? I paused here. You see this nice Kengo Kuma building here. Toyama has been doing a pretty good job of trying to make more attractions known to the rest of the world. Craig Mott, who is a photographer for the he's a photographer for the New York Times and lives here in Japan, speaks fluent Japanese. He was interviewed on the TV show that I was on yesterday. 2 years ago, I remember I was on the program, and then again yesterday they had a clip of him talking about why he picks these locations. And in here they also picked Osaka, which was number 38 on this list, although it's not a ranking, and the explanations why. The explanations why were pretty interesting. I'll talk about this as well, but Detroit was on the list, so it makes you kind of curious, doesn't it? Like, is your town on the list, and why did they pick these certain places? But why they picked Toyama was really interesting to me. Now, according to Craig Mott, who's one of the guys who picked this location, I kind of pulled up on his website here. He has a blog entry about this, and this is the famous squid from a few years ago using tax money to make this attraction to attract tourists, but that was in Noto Hanto, which had the big earthquake. And then Toyama City of Toyama makes his pick of 52 places. It was placed at 30 this year's list. It was just placed. Nobody picked it, put it there for any particular reason. I think it's worth reading the 2025 editorial query. This year's marks our 20th anniversary of publishing this list. Interesting. But why this year? Last year they had the Paris Olympics. They had the solar eclipse in North America. So they picked this based on what's going on this year, some big linchpins of the year. But the word of the summer last year was over-tourism, and that was really interesting. We talked about this quite a bit, in particular on this channel. So they thought about this when they picked Toyama. And there's a lot of positive effects that came out of the list of picking new places, putting places that you hadn't really heard about. There was a positive, but this one here was really interesting, the paragraph. Can you, at the very least, do less harm? I thought this was really interesting. And on this, I think Craig Mott and I are really much on the same place. I know Nee writes in here, Detroit, maybe they're making a comeback, It's in the state of Michigan, and as an Ohio State Buckeye, just watching that game, not a lot of love for the state of Michigan, but we do love the people of Michigan. I should say for the University of Michigan. Anyways, moving on. I do think that being on this list is really important for Toyama and for any prefecture, because it's like free publicity, of course. But Craig also, I think, understands the impact that such a list does have inside of Japan, and I do too. I introduced a capsule hotel about 2015, like 10 years ago. And the capsule hotel was in Shinjuku. Nobody had really done a capsule hotel video on YouTube, like thoroughly. And I got permission and access to film inside of there, and I introduced it, as sort of a tourist attraction. They had, I was like 25% tourists and 75% salaryman at the time. After the video, which went super viral, I think it's got something like 8 or 9 million views. Other YouTubers started to also show capsule hotels. Mentioned to me that he had a hard time adjusting because he didn't realize the impact that this video would have. Not just what I did, but what other YouTubers would do. People brought luggage, and at capsule hotels you don't bring big suitcases. He had to make a luggage space for it. He had something, but not for the amount of luggage. People were bringing kids to the capsule hotel. Capsule hotels are not supposed to be for kids. Like, could our families stay in the capsules next to each other? No, that's not what it is. So they've repurposed the capsule hotels, and since 2014, 2015, ideas like First Cabin and other places, which are like ramped up or specialized capsules hotels for tourists mostly, have popped up, and that's been kind of always in my mind when I introduce places that are new to everybody in Japan. Like, there's a sort of a responsibility that if the place is not ready for a lot of tourists, you could cause more harm than good. So I'm trying to introduce more places that are off of the beaten path, you know what I mean? The next episodes in Only Japan, the main channel, will be there. But Toyama, I mean, is it really off of the beaten path? Just a few years ago, I was there for the Tateyama Kurobe Alpine Pass, or is it the Kurobe Tateyama? I always get that messed up. But the pass here has a very unique, like 20 meters, like 55 feet high walls or something like that. It's really unique to see this, and it makes the bus look really weird because it's like, the Kurobe Pass, the Tateyama Kurobe Pass. It's open from April 1st, so it's not open now, but it's about 60, I'd say like 60 feet on average, but it makes the buses look like matchbox cars, like Tomy cars. This is not the highest spot in there. I think this is, I don't know, maybe 15 meters high, 10, 15 meters high. There were much higher places there, but the buses look dwarfed by the walls. It's just such a unique sight. This brought a lot of tourists, mostly from Singapore, Hong Kong, a lot of people from the Philippines, Thailand, places where there's no snow. I mean, this might not be special to someone who's in Buffalo, New York, for example, but it's certainly a unique tourist attraction for Japan. And this is what Toyama was mostly famous for, this one particular tourist attraction. In the past, it was really hard to get there. There's the orange jacket. It's really hard to get there because we did not have a Shinkansen until about 10 years ago when the Hokuriku Shinkansen opened up the Kanazawa. Toyama was on the stop, so it really opened up this as a tourist attraction. Now, back then, it wasn't really. Toyama was on the other side of Japan. It was off of the beaten path. It was really hard to get there. So these tourist attractions, Hakuba is in Nagano, and that's sort of in here. That's just on the other side of the mountains there. But Toyama City is this beautiful place that hugs the Sea of Japan and the south, the Minami Alps, the South Alps of Japan. And it's got the sea and the mountains. They pretty much meet. So it has amazing water, delicious food, produce, fish, sushi. It's got so much good stuff. Here's where the castle park is. It's got a castle ruins right there. The picture of the tram going by the castle is kind of famous, modern versus the ancient. And then there's the South Alps, right? This is some very high peaks that are melting in the spring and going into the Toyama Bay there, leading to like really unique, good buri. If you like buri for sushi, it's got some really good, delicious fish because of the nutrients going into the bay there. Leads to some of the best cuisine. Kanazawa's not that far away. But Craig also wrote that he connected Toyama with Noto, which suffered that great earthquake that happened at the beginning of last year. And it kind of connects it there. Toyama is sort of a gateway to the Noto Peninsula. And hopefully when things get a little bit better, we're going to have more tourists go to Noto and see that big squid, which everyone yelled at them and said, no one's going to come and see this big squid. Now it's become sort of a symbol of tourism to Noto as they try to rebuild from the devastating earthquake from last year. The Glass Art Museum, I guess that's a Kengokuma building. So there's a lot of unique attractions in there. If you remember, I also introduced the Starbucks in the park there. It was the world's most beautiful Starbucks in 2008 when Starbucks was like this thing where, like, if you go out to the countryside, there's not enough people to make Starbucks work. So who would want an expensive cup of coffee in the middle of, you know, a green area like this? So this particular Starbucks became quite famous worldwide for its location inside of a green park, like a countryside location. Toyama doesn't have a huge urban population. I think it was the first Starbucks in Toyama at the time, so it garnered quite a bit of attention as the world's most beautiful Starbucks. I even went there and made an episode on it, and it's still quite beautiful. You get to see the sunset with the big windows there. It's quite a different view than what you get in like New York City, because Starbucks is quite famous for a coffee you pick up on the go. You see businessmen, taxi, loud noises outside. You associate it differently with this particular one, and that's what kind of put Starbucks on the map for me internationally in 2008. So what do you guys think about this list? I think it's pretty significant. I think it's it does make a big impact. Again, when you look back at Morioka up in the north of Tohoku being put on this list and seeing that it had a 30% increase in tourists going there, I think it does make a big difference. I'm not a fan of the New York Times. You guys probably know that, but there's politics and then there's everything else, and that's kind of a big deal for the people of Toyama, and I'm super stoked for them. I think that whenever you get your hometown highlighted worldwide in a publication, that's kind of a pretty cool thing, right? The Meguro River Starbucks is now number 1. I think that's Nakameguro, right? I'm not trying to promote the chain. I just think that they've done some pretty interesting stuff with tourism. So it does bring a number of people to places that they normally wouldn't go, and you got to give them some credit. This month's postcard is pretty unique. This is onsen scene in Fukushima, up in the mountains there. My friend and I made a video on this about 8 years ago, and you can see this beautiful waterfall as we're soaking in a barrel. This is the postcard for this month. This will come out to you. I just got these in. I just went to the post office over there to pick up the stamps here. So here's the stamps. Check this one out. I'm kind of excited. If you do sign up at the Postcard Club, you're going to get one of these stamps. You can see the Jigoku Dani snow monkeys there as well. So there's a little bit of Japanese culture in each one of these stamps here. You're going to get one of these 10 stamps on your postcard if you join now. And I guess if you join this weekend, I can give you, if you're a new sign up for this weekend, just for Saturday and Sunday, if you sign up, I will send you last month's postcard as well. So you'll get 2 for the price of 1 if you sign up for the Only in Japan Postcard Club. Thanks, everybody. It's kind of cool. And they're making it to Canada as well. Finally, Canada Post is up and running, so the postcards are getting there. I sent it from Tokyo here, so it's a Tokyo postmark too on the stamp, which is kind of cool. If I went up to Fukushima, I would take it up there. Let's see what happens. These will go out on Monday, I believe. Monday. You should upgrade, Sean. You should upgrade. The economy is getting pretty rough, in particular in Canada, and we lost some Postcard Club members who were very polite about it and said they'll rejoin when the economy gets better. But I'm rooting for Canada to get better. It's kind of tough up there right now with elections coming pretty soon. I won't get into the politics of all of that, but economy is tough in a lot of places here, and I get it. And but I really do appreciate the support here, and I hope I can make it up to Montreal again soon. See my friend Danny, or Hawaii, and see my friend Michael Sasano, who's here. Aloha, Michael. Happy Saturday. Pick up an after. You got it, brother. I'll get something from you and Brandania. Check it out. They have a wedding going on here. People taking the wedding pictures. It's kind of a famous place to go because you have the Imperial Palace over there, where the Emperor lives. So Kanai's sister, when she got her wedding pictures done, they hired me. I didn't get paid for it, of course, but I took my camera out and was able to snap their pictures in front of here. If you come in the morning in the summer, there's nobody here and the sun is just rising and it makes a pretty good picture. But it's always nice to see the bride and groom walking. It's chilly today too, so that bride is she's a pretty tough cookie. She's a pretty tough cookie. I don't know how the ladies do it when they dress up in these dresses. That's pretty special. But yeah, it's a little slice of Tokyo life here in Marunouchi. Yeah, I'm guessing next year, and with lists, Japan is really, I don't know, obsessed with lists. And the one thing that a lot of publications, I had to correct the Tokyo Weekender, which is a publication here in Japan. They were polite. They responded to my comment and said that they updated the post to reflect it. But the list is not a ranking. So number one it's a nice position, but it's actually not a ranking. One place is not better than another. Detroit is in the top 52, but there's like reasons for it. And what was interesting was that they are considering over tourism. Right? Last year we had too many people going to the same places. Over tourism became such a big buzzword. Toyama is such a wide place that doesn't have a massive tourist industry yet. I think it was a good choice. It was a responsible choice. And again, like going forward this year, I'll try to pick places that maybe you haven't heard about or other YouTubers aren't doing, because the biggest, I don't know, I really do feel that there is a responsibility, not just for me, but for other YouTubers, not to show you the same places over and over again that you know about, even though we can get lots of views, but also to slip in places that you don't know about, because we do have to make a living off of this. And I gotta say thank you to my Patreon community, because I do get a chance to not have to worry about if I get 1 million views on each video. I can more follow what they would want to know, what you guys would want to see. So I went to a town. I don't know what's going to be on the list next year. Maybe Matsuyama, because the Dogo Onsen renovation should be finished soon. And Dogo Onsen is this 1,000-year onsen with the building that looks like something from Spirited Away. It's a beautiful place, with Matsuyama Castle being one of the top 5 in Japan, I think, up on a hill in the middle of the city. That might be on the list next year. They seem to pick one place that's popular, one place that's not. Osaka, because the expo's there. I understand why that's on there, but I understand why they picked Toyama, because it's close to Noto Hanto, because they have a lot of really good attractions, because they could handle the tourists. And if you do go to Toyama, you really have to have done your homework on why. There's a couple of things that I want to cover. So, Sean, thank you for upgrading. I just got the notification. Was that the notification for you? I just missed it. I don't know if it was you, but I got a notification. Thank you for that. I'll be sending it with everybody else's now. The notification has to come in today or tomorrow, because I'll be sending this out on Monday. I'm doing it tonight. Kanai and I put the stamps on together. You can see the buzz around Tokyo Station. People are dressed pretty warm right now. The temperature, so getting pretty chilly. We got a ton of snow in the north and on the west side of Japan. Up in Tohoku, up in Niigata as well, Sea of Japan side. So it's, Tokyo, we don't get a lot of snow, but when the snow does fall, it becomes Snokyo. It's not quite as able to handle snow as other places in Japan. Yeah. What do you guys think about this? Do you think, I don't want to hear I'm very curious about this. What do you think about the New York Times list? Do you think it matters? Do you think the politics of everything in the New York Times makes them irrelevant? I don't think they're irrelevant anymore. I got to be careful here. I don't think that the publications are irrelevant. I think that journalists might be biased in the political realm, but when it comes to travel and entertainment, I don't know. But I'm curious to find out what you guys know, because if you're living in the U.S. for the last 26 years, you know a lot more than me with regards to that. But I do think that being on the list has proven. Look at the sun shining between the Shin Maru building and the other building there on the Otemachi side. I do think that it makes a big difference. And I have a feeling, last year, 2 years ago they picked Morioka, last year they picked Yamaguchi. I don't know if that made a big impact. I think the big winner was Morioka. And this year they picked Toyama, and we're gonna see if it does make a difference. I bet you that the Toyama, the Kurobe Tateyama snow pass is gonna be quite busy. They also have a place, you know, Shirakawa-go is this village, this UNESCO World Heritage Village that's so beautiful with those old Japanese houses, thatched roof houses. Toyama has a village like that almost no tourists, international tourists, know about yet. So this is going to be making the rounds in 2025, and you're going to start to discover on the Sea of Japan side, there are way more attractions that you don't know about that you definitely should know about, because the beaten path in Japan is full of like suitcases and lots of travelers. It's stressful, right? Out there. I haven't talking to Craig. I don't know him, but we've interviewed him for the TV show that I'm on, and you know, you get a chance to. That's me yesterday on the TV show. Kanai's sister sent me this clip from her TV. She didn't even know I was on, so she sent Kanai like a 5-second clip of me on the TV show yesterday. But you know, I wonder if Toyama is going to come out a big winner, if people are actually going to go there and visit. But what Craig is doing is really good, I think, and the thought that he puts into the choices for the New York Times, despite the fact, you know, it's the New York Times, I think he does a really good job with the consideration, the way he thinks about it. And again, you can check out Craig's blog and read more of this explanation on his website there, craigmott.com. He writes pretty thoroughly why he picked this location, and I'm really curious what he's going to pick next year. You know, he picked it. He's done a pretty good job with the list. I'm quite impressed. There are things that are on my radar. I went, and I think David and Ellis are the only ones who know from the Patreon community. But I went to a place called Nishio in Aichi Prefecture last month, and this video is going to drop this month. I've already finished the edit, and the people I worked with on this, they're kind of helping me with the historical background and checking this here. And we're going to put this video up. And I don't think anybody knows about the city of Nishio. It's right next to Okazaki, where I used to live. I didn't know that they had, apart from Uji, Nishio also has one of the best matcha industries in Japan. There's Uji matcha, and then there's Nishio matcha. And Nishio's matcha, I'll talk about this, it's inside of Japan is as famous as Uji matcha. But everybody's into the Uji because it's such a name brand. You sometimes forget that there are other brands that are pretty darn good. I can't really tell the difference when I taste it, you know? I mean, it's matcha. Can you really tell the difference? I'm guessing like the answer is no to that. I'm kind of guessing that maybe you can't really tell the difference. But they have a really good matcha industry. They have confections here that have Nishio matcha on it. They're also one of the top places for unagi. And they also have miso, which is amazing. I had a local family's miso right from the vats that they cook it in and make it in. So this is gonna be a pretty special episode. Mochi, yeah, rice, they got it all in Nishio. As well as a guest house owner. He's the one who invited me. This guest house owner is 25 years old, used to work for Hoshino Resorts. He went to the University of Michigan, unfortunately, and I went to Ohio State. But we had a fun time together. I stayed at his guest house. He graduated, went back to his hometown, started a guest house, and now he's working to help bring tourists to his town, and he's doing an amazing job, and you're gonna see this in the video. This is the kind of videos I wanna bring you on Only in Japan this year, and I just want to thank everybody on Patreon for the support. I really do appreciate it, guys. It's been tough on the main channel. I got to get all these out there, but there's some good ones coming. Nishio is one of them. Maybe I got a picture that I can bring in here as we end this live stream. Any last comments from you guys before we end the live stream? There's so many places that we just don't know about yet that we can go to. I'm hoping that this year you're going to, on this channel, which is why you subscribe, I'm going to be able to take you and show you places that you've never seen before. Nishio is going to be one of them. This is a place that I had never really been to, even the fact that I lived really close by Nishio. I'm trying to see if I have a picture here. Here's one. So this is the Takenoko no Sato, which is from Nishio Matcha. And this is a picture of me and Rise from his guest house. We were sitting outside of a tea house next to the castle, drinking some matcha, which is pretty incredible. Most of the tourists that do come here are people who live in Japan that I talked to. So that's why they knew about it, but it's not in any guidebooks that I know about. Yeah. All right, guys, I see Carrie's here. Welcome, Carrie, and Joy, and everybody. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'll see you in another live stream tomorrow. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to introduce to you, but you know, the Ohio State Texas game was on this morning, so I couldn't go and do what I wanted to do. So tomorrow I'll bring you another live stream for a little bit. I think so we'll do some food here, but this is a good one to talk about and kind of research, because you know, when you're planning a trip to Japan during the cherry blossoms, I think the Sea of Japan side, pretty significant place. I think for the cherry blossoms, there's a better connection with nature out there than there is here in Tokyo. Not to say that Tokyo is not beautiful. It's just that connection with nature is why the cherry blossoms are so special, I think. And despite the fact that Tokyo has some really good parks, Toyama has the mountains, the sea, the food, less people, more authentic people. I was saying to a friend of mine that what made Nishio really special is that you have friendly eyes instead of tourist industry eyes on you. When you are at a place where the tourist industry is very mature, people are looking at you differently. And when you have friendly eyes, people who are really looking at you like as hosts and really glad that you're there, and you can feel that in Nishio, well, at least you can right now. There are places like that. Toyama is also another place I think that's very much like that, and I think Morioka as well, it still retains that charm. So Aiken is here. Thanks for the hot chocolate. My nose is starting to run from the chill out here as the sun goes down in Tokyo. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll try to eat something hot or go get some food for the live stream, but until then, mata ne. See you next time.